Hello everyone, set 7.5 has finally launched, and here's the 5 best comps you've got to try from our challenger experts. Our first comp is called Sapphire Dragon. This comp builds upon the new TFT exclusive dragon unit, Soam. As a Lagoon mage, you want to play your water dragon carry alongside units that can add to both of these traits. So go for this comp if you have a good Lagoon opener to start stacking your ability costs and dropping as much loot as you possibly can. At level 8 you want to run Soam, Neela, Silas, Bard, Seraphine, Xayah and Talia. This is a default leveling comp, meaning it doesn't rely on any 3-star units and you'll level up at a regular pace. For augments, we're looking at the obvious ones like Lagoon Heart, Crest or Soul, which will make your life easier when playing this comp. High Tide is really good in the early game as it will make your units cast pretty often, and Oasis is simply great for your secondary carry, Neela. When it comes to those main carries and their itemization, Soam is the main carry of this comp, and he needs 1 item for mana generation and 2 offensive items. So you want to give him a blue buff, a Rabadon's Death Cap, and then something like a Giant Slayer. Neela is your secondary carry, and as an assassin she'll take care of the enemy backline while Soam gets rid of that front line. She prefers lots of sword and bow items, so give her a Giant Slayer, a Bloodthirster and a Runaan's Hurricane. And lastly we have our precious mage tank that you're already familiar with, Silas. His job is to keep the enemy team distracted for as long as possible, so send as many Xayah portals as you can his way. But if you don't have any void spawns left, go for a traditional full tank itemization instead. The cool thing about this comp is not only the extra loot from the Lagoon Sea Stone, but also that it's really straightforward to play. For your early game you can start with your Lagoon core in Malphite, Talia and Xayah. Talking of Xayah, since she's the perfect item holder for Soam, you want to add in a second Dragonmancer like set and make Xayah your Dragonmancer hero. If you get lucky and find an early copy of Soam in the mid game, you can already activate and play Lagoon 6. But since this is more of a coin flip at this stage of the game, we'd recommend you to just continue building upon the traits that you're using. Building Xayah portals however can snowball you easily into the late game, as all Xayah wants is a stalling frontline to help her get those ultimate stacks. Next up we have a reroll comp with the new Astral Mage carry, Lux. She fires her ability at the farthest enemy, whilst damaging everyone who gets hit along the way. Apart from Lux, this comp uses Silas, Jace, Varus, Nidalee, Skarner and Vladimir. And as you probably guessed, this is a slow roll comp. So you'll aim to roll for Lux at level 6 while staying above 50 gold. Although Lux is the only unit you want to really 3-star, you can still pick up any low cost Astral or Mage during your slow rolls. And since 3-starring our main carry is so important, we ideally want to pick up augments that will help with that. So you want to try and get your hands on a trade sector or a mage conference to hit Lux 3-star twice as fast. The new Protectors of the Cosmos augment is also really good though, as it will buff our team up with tons of shields. For your itemization on your main carry Lux, you want to have a Spear of Shojin, a Giant Slayer as well as a Rabadon's Death Cap. And just like the mage tank from the last comp, whenever you play a mage board you need a mage frontliner, and Silas is going to be the best choice again. Xayah portals will help him stall the fight as long as possible, but going for a full tank itemization with Gargoyle's Stoneplate, a Warmog's Armor and a Dragon's Claw will just be as good for him. Jace is the unit that is a cool bonus, and as a higher cost unit you could throw any leftover items on him. Although the only item we really care about is Protector's Vow, to help keep our tank Silas in the front alive longer. Moving on to the game plan, and it's safe to say playing Astrals might be the easiest trait of them all. Start the game with your Astral trio, Skarner, Vladimir and Lux. Since you're only missing 1 extra mage for the double casts, you want to add in Talia in the back. It's probably best that you go on an early lose streak, since this will ensure you extra gold from the streak as well as give you carousel priority to help equip our carry Lux with the perfect items. Level up to 6 at stage 3-2 and try to activate Astral 5. Adding in the 2-3 costs Varus and Silas is your most important milestone here, as this will also finalise your team comp, and the only thing you have to worry about from here is breaking your lose streak as well as slow rolling for that 3-star Lux. Number 3 on our list is Supersonic Graves. Tempest finally has a strong and reliable 4-cost carry in Graves. To activate more extra damage for him, we want to play Aphelios, who will add Cannoneer, but also bring his Darkflight companions to the team. So this comp uses Graves, the Dragon Tyrant Swain, Neela, Qiyana, Rengar, Aphelios and Rel. This is a default leveling comp, meaning it doesn't rely on any 3-star units and you'll level up at a regular pace. For augments, we're only looking to buff up our main carry Graves, so pick up any assassin related augments such as an Assassin Heart, Crest or Crown, or Cannoneer augments like Ricochet and Hotshot. Talking about carries, you want to run a hybrid build on your main carry Graves. That means some sort of healing and tankiness combined with good damage, since you'll find him often dashing into the enemy team. A Bloodthirster, a Titan's Resolve and a Giant Slayer is ideal for him. As for your Darkflight frontline, the first thing you have to take care of is getting either a Protector's Vow or a Xayah portal on Qiyana. This will copy the item on your other 3 frontliners so that the shields or voidlings will help entertain the enemy team whilst Graves does the blasting.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
The Dragon Tyrant Swain is your main tank, and since he'll get the Protector's Vow or Xayah Portal as a third item, we really just want a Mobalytics for the healing reduction and another Titan's Resolve to keep him alive as long as possible. And as for your Assassin Neela, you just want to make sure you have an Infinity Edge on her and then something like another Bloodthirster and Giant Slayer. It is a little difficult to get the perfect items for your carries in this comp, as well as guarantee one of the preferred sacrificed items, but it does mean there's definite potential for first places. In the early game, you'll look to play something like Dark Flights and Cannoneers with Aphelios and Rel in the front line, Sejuani with the Protector's Vow or Xayah Portal as sacrifice, and Senna in the back for some extra damage. In that mid game though, the easiest transition will be to use Lilia for an item holder for Graves, as she can make perfect use of those items. Run this board as long as you find your Tempest carry or a copy of the Dragon Tyrant before starting that late game transition. Moving into our number 2 spot, Guild Xayah 2.0. You're probably pretty familiar with this one, as it was one of the strongest comps throughout the entirety of set 7. Xayah, Shyvana, Jace, Bard, Hecarim, Rakan and Twitch are all the units you need to have for this team, with a decent frontline, good backline access, lots of utility and of course your main damage in the back. This is another default leveling comp, meaning it doesn't rely on any 3-star units and you'll level up at a regular pace. As usual, you're going to stabilize at level 7 by finding a copy of your main carry Xayah, then level up to 8 and complete your board by adding in Shyvana. But let's quickly dive into augments. It goes without saying that any guild heart, crest or crown are going to be instant pickups. Other augments that will help you either activate more guild or seal up that victory bag are new recruit or loot master. When it comes to itemizing our carries, Xayah is your main carry and her best in-slot items are still Gwynsu's Rageblade, Quicksilver and a Giant Slayer. Shyvana is the secondary carry and her itemization is pretty flexible. Her best in-slot items though are Mobalytics, Archangel's Staff as well as an Ionic Spark. As for Jace, he's primarily in the team to provide more guild, as well as Shapeshifter for our Red Dragon. To make best use of him though, try and give him a Protector's Vow, although anything left over should work on him just as well. But enough about our items and carries because you probably already know about those already. Let's break down the game strategy. For your early and mid game, you basically just want to make sure you're always running a strong but cheap board that can help you maintain most of your hit points. This can be something like Ezreal and Twitch in the back with 2 Guardians in Leona and Nasus in the front for the early game. Make Ezreal hold items for Xayah whilst Nasus hold items for your Ragewing Dragon Shyvana. In the mid game, you simply build further into Guardians and try to activate Guardian 4 by adding in the 2 costs Braum and Rakan. These will buy your item holder Ezreal just enough time to shoot down enemy teams one by one. Before we get to our top pick of the new set, remember you can check out full guides for all of these comps by using the links down below. So finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, and our number 1 comp is going to be Age of Dragons. Funnily enough, this comp is all about dragons. With the reworked dragon trait, you can now play as many of them as you want without any drawbacks, and only extra benefits. The ultimate endgame board will make use of Terra, Al-Shin, Shyvana, Idus, Rakan and Bard. And since you really want to play mostly high cost units, this comp, unlike all of the others, is a fast 8 comp. That means save up gold and health early by going on a win streak, whilst constantly slotting in those high cost units to not lose out on board strength. The most important part of this comp is to keep up the win streak during the mid game, so you also don't want to think twice before slamming an item or pushing levels if it means your little legends will stay on fire. For that though, you also need to pay attention on your augment selection routes. Good choices are something like Tiny Titans to take advantage of the HP gap and reach the late game easier. Then there's also Salvage Bin to slam all items you have into general good items that will help your entire team win streak easier, like a Sunfire Cape or a Static Shiv for example. Or Binary Airdrop, which you have to play right by always having 1 item slot left on your units to get that extra random completed item. These 3 augments are really good to keep you on that win streak, but if you happen to see high-end shopping or Age of Dragons augments, consider yourself lucky and catapult yourself to that first lobby spot. Now moving on to items. For your frontline Dragon Terra, you're first looking at a Gargoyle Stoneplate, as it synergizes way too good with its scaling armor and magic resist. After that, you want to have standard tank items like a Warmog's armor and a Dragon's Claw. For your backline Dragon Al-Shin, you want to have the typical combination of mana gen and damage. A Spear of Shojin, an Archangel's Staff and a Giant Slayer are all best in slot here. And for that utility Dragon Shyvana, the only item you really want to have on her is a Mobalytics for the extra burn and the healing reduction. Any items on her after that are just a nice bonus. But again, you can't play a comp like this without win streaking or having lots of gold in the bank. And to have both, you simply need to follow 2 rules. First, always push levels aggressively in the early game, and more importantly, play 2-star units over most synergies. And secondly, slam items, even if they aren't going to be the perfect fit for your carries later on. You really shouldn't have more than 2 item components on your bench throughout the entire game. The cool thing about this new set is you also have lower cost dragons that will be the perfect replacement or item holders for your legendary endgame board. This means Idus is the perfect item holder for your tank Terra. Xayah can hold everything offensive for Al-Shin, and a Dragon Tyrant Swain with the Mobalytics is almost just as good. So in case you don't find those golden dragons, simply opt out for the purple ones as they'll not necessarily dominate the lobby, but still make sure you secure a top 4 place with ease. If you do manage to play your early and mid game correctly and you have enough gold and HP left, you can even manage to beat a 3-star Yasuo and a 3-star Xayah. That's going to wrap up our 5 comps. Use the first link in the description to find many more comps on our updated tier list.